So here we are with the all-new redesigned Hyundai Elantra, and the first thing you have to touch on has to be Hyundai's new design language. It's very divisive. It's either you love it or you hate it. Now, this design language isn't something that Hyundai just came up with. It's a design language that is called dynamic parametric, and you can see it in futuristic-looking buildings when you are seeing renders of what buildings may look like 50 years from now. That is what it looks like. Dynamic parametric. Truth be told, I think it looks like Porygon the Pokemon. That's just my personal opinion. But when it comes to the vehicle, yes, the vehicle does have some weird looks when you first see it. But the longer you look at it, the longer you stand back and you stare at it, it actually grows on you. And around back, the angles and things continue from the dynamic parametric design language. As you can see, there's an LED lighting strip that runs the length of the trunk from left to right, right to left. There's a light below here. There's a third brake light on top here. And the design language continues with the rear lights, because you can see it has a kind of, I would say, a bat wing kind of falcon wing kind of shape where it's like narrowing inside and it tapers down at the end. I like how it looks. So you look at it up close, it has some detail. Now when it comes to the dimensions of the new one versus the old one, they both have the same dimensions in terms of length, in terms of height, in terms of ground clearance, in terms of width, everything. But this vehicle seems longer when you look at it from the side because of that Sportback finish. It reminds me a lot of the Audi Sportback. You all may not be able to see it now, but how about now? Can you see it yet? Still can't see it? Okay, how about now? It has the exact same lines and dimensions when you look at it from the side as the Audi Sportback. The only difference I would say is how the trunk operates, because in the Audi Sportback, some call it the liftback, you have the entire trunk section and glass going up as a single unit. But even though the Elantra has a Sportback look, it has a conventional trunk. In fact, it has an unconventional trunk because the trunk is this small, itty-bitty looking trunk, and the top half of the trunk is made of plastic. Yes, plastic. That could either be because of weight saving or because the trunk is shaped so unconventionally. It's easier to make it from plastic, well, at least the top half, than from aluminum or metal. It also has this black strip here that when the trunk is closed, it gives the illusion that the glass is coming all the way down. But how do you open the trunk? Well, you have the normal way. You pull the lever inside the car, or you can press the trunk button on the key fob and it will open. You can walk up to the back and press the button on the trunk itself and it will open there as well. Or you can have the key in your pocket or your hand, walk up behind the vehicle and the trunk will auto open after about 3 seconds. I did about 4 attempts. I got it to work on 3 of those 4 attempts, but I guess it's still a cool feature to have. Once the key is in your pocket, you walk up to the car, and instead of swiping your foot below the car, you just have the keys and it opens for itself. Next, we have inside the trunk. You have your normal 60-40 fold-down seats, and a surprising amount of room in there. Now, the trunk lid may look small, but when you open it, you can see all this space in there. Really amazing. You have a full-size spare with a jack, your tow hook, and your wheel spanner. Very nice to see. I love full-size spares. I find manufacturers should be banned from selling vehicles with donuts. Next, you have your power folding mirrors with your indicator repeaters on the outside. And you have your start-stop feature on your key fob. Next, let's take a look at inside the vehicle, starting with the rear seats. Now, the front passenger seat is all the way back and reclined slightly. And I still have room in the back there. My knees are barely touching the rear of the seat. As somebody who is 5'9", if I had to go on a long trip, I would be comfortable in the back there. Over on the driver's side, you can see that my knees are not touching the rear of the seat. And that is the normal position that the seat will be in every day as a driver. Now, when it comes to the interior isn't really anything to write home about. It gets the job done. When it comes to the seats, I wouldn't say they are class leading. I have sat in more comfortable seats in vehicles at this price point, but I guess they get the job done. That's the whole theme here. It gets the job done. The doors don't have luxurious soft touch materials throughout. There's a bit in the center, but for the most part, it's hard plastic. There is a cool looking speaker grill there though, so there's that. There's a passenger vanity mirror, however, it doesn't have illumination. I'm not sure if the higher trim levels has illumination, but this particular trim level doesn't have illumination. Here you have your center lighting controls. These are your main lighting controls here. You have your on-off switch, well, on, off, or the door. Plus you can push it like in every other vehicle, turn it on or off. For some reason, I think manufacturers are going backwards because they keep going back to these yellow lights instead of just shipping the vehicles with LEDs from the factory. Last time I checked, LEDs are actually supposed to be cheaper. So why aren't they shipping it with LEDs? Overall, the cabin is a nice place to be. There are definitely some cheap parts when you touch them, primarily in the doors. You're like, Hyundai definitely skipped on the premium materials here, but overall it's a nice cabin. I particularly like how the AC vents are incorporated into this long strip under the dash here. You can't even see where the AC vents start and end because they are so well incorporated. I love that. And speaking about AC, here are your AC controls. This particular trim has dual zone climate control, so you can set left and right independent from each other. Hopefully everybody knows how AC controls work, so you won't go so deeply into that. Over here you have two separate USB outlets. One is the charge, which is the extreme left. The middle is for your media, like your music, videos, whatever you want to play on your head unit. And then to the right of that, you have a 12 volt 180 watt power outlet, what we know as a cigarette lighter. Lower down you have your gear selector, and next to that you have two buttons. The top one is to select Eco, Normal or Sport, that's the driving modes, and below that you have a camera button. That button turns the rear camera on at will. You can be driving on the road, you hit it and you can see what's behind you. I love that feature. The Tucson also has that feature. I wish all vehicles had that feature where you can turn the camera on at will just to see what's happening around the vehicle. Below that, you have two cup holders and a conventional parking brake. Then you have what we call the armrest, but it's really a center storage area. Here is it open, here is it closed. You also do get a glove box. However, Pikachu does not come included. Now, those familiar with the Elantra would realize that it has many fully loaded features, but it has the seats from the base model. This is because the owner bought the base model, but asked to have certain features from the fully loaded added in, which is why even though it doesn't have the glass roof like the fully loaded model, it has other features that the fully loaded model has while being a base model. Now, to access the wipers, you switch off the vehicle and you hold the wiper stalk up and the wipers come up. That is the only way you can access the wipers to service them, because the bonnet, the way the hood is situated, you can't lift the wipers up while the bonnet is closed or open. So this is the only way. And to get it to go down, you switch the car on and you do anything with the wipers and it goes down. It's really cool. To me, they created a problem and then created a solution for the problem, but say what, that's how things are going. Next, let's take a look at the infotainment system. As you can see, you can mirror your phone to it and you can watch a movie or watch news or anything you have on your phone. Now, it's somewhat responsive. It's not as responsive as I would think it should be. As you can see, sometimes you hit something and there's a 1 to 2 second lag between you hitting it and it actually responding. Now, this is not as bad as the MGHS, which anything you pressed on the infotainment had guaranteed a 2 to 3 second delay, sometimes 4 seconds if you're really bad lucky. This one has some fluidity to it, but there are some menus that actually lag more than others. But overall, I think it's a really usable menu. Plus, you have physical buttons. Most of the buttons operate as shortcuts to the touchscreen, but still, it's always nice to have physical buttons. Next, let's take a look at the instrument cluster. Like I said, this is a base model, but it has the instrument cluster of the fully loaded. And I actually like it. It's the same as the Tucson, same layout, same interface, same everything. It's crisp. It's a bit reflective though. All that black around, it kind of reflects light, but the screen is bright enough that you can see it even in direct sunlight, and it's actually fluid. You know, you hit the button to change from Eco, Sport, Normal, and it responds right away, no delay. Just push the button and you can see it responding right away on the instrument cluster. But now, let's get the Elantra out on the road and see how it drives. And right off the bat, within the first couple of seconds of driving the Elantra, I noticed right away that it does not have a dual clutch transmission, which is a good thing. The Hyundai Tucson has this annoying dual clutch transmission that you can feel at low speeds. It shudders, it vibrates, it's laggy. I don't like dual clutch transmissions. For the average person, a dual clutch transmission is just more trouble than it's worth in the long run. The pros do not outweigh the cons. Now the Hyundai Elantra is powered by a 1.6 litre naturally aspirated engine that produces 127 horsepower and 157 Newton meters of torque. Now these figures aren't mind-blowing. These figures are in line with most vehicles within this price point and this segment, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because when it comes to power, you don't feel underpowered. In fact, it has more than enough power to get the average person into trouble with the law if they're not paying attention. Now, when the automotive industry shifted away from the conventional power steering with power steering fluid to the electric assist steering wheel, we had an issue, and the issue was you never felt connected with the road. You never knew exactly what the wheels were doing. But clearly, Hyundai/Kia has been hard at work, because with this vehicle, the steering wheel feels weighted. You actually feel like you are driving a vehicle that has a normal power steering system in it, which is good because you are now able to push the car that much more, knowing almost precisely what the front wheels are doing. I'm not sure if it was a drastic improvement in terms of the technology, or if we are just getting used to the electric assist steering wheel system, but I can say it feels better. It feels better when you compare this to 2015 Elantra, 2015 Kia Cerato, which I owned. I can tell that there's something different in the way that this electronic assist steering wheel operates. I'm not sure if it's the kinematics of the suspension, the geometry, if it's a new software system they have running, but it definitely feels more weighted, which gives you a more connected with the front wheels feel, which is good because you are able to push the car more. Now, how many of you remember the MGHS review trying to go up the hill? Well, same hill, same corner with the Elantra. And I took the corner worse with the Elantra deliberately to give the left front wheel less traction, and still the Elantra was able to go up the hill no problem. But while we are on a hill, let's test out the Hyundai Elantra's hill hole or the brake hole feature. Those words are technically interchangeable. You go on the hill, on an incline, wherever, you let off the brake, and you can see it's going to hold the vehicle stationary for about 3-4 seconds right around here to make sure that you're not rolling back into anything before it starts rolling back. It's a very useful feature, and I will always commend it on every vehicle I see it on. Now lastly, let's talk about fuel consumption. Your fuel consumption may vary depending on your driving habits, but the owner of this vehicle routinely gets 675-700 kilometers on a full tank, which I think is impressive. But it does have a 50-litre tank capacity compared to the average 40-litre tank, which means it's 10 litres more. It takes just about $69 more gas than the average person if you are filling super versus premium. So this adds up to $69 more, and you're getting, at least with my vehicle, I get $450 if I'm lucky. Now, you know, if you are using premium versus super, your bill will go up because super is just $695, premium is like $775. So obviously premium will be more, but we're talking about super here because this vehicle was built to use super. If you want to use premium, do the math for yourself. All in all, once you can get around the way it looks, I think the Elantra is a really solid vehicle.